Welcome to Journeys with the No Schedule Man, exploring authentic stories of personal growth and lessons learned from people living true to themselves with creativity, passion, and purpose. For all past episodes, subscribe on iTunes or visit noscheduleman.com. And please connect, share, and contribute with a comment, rating, or review. And now, here's your host, the No Schedule Man, Kevin Bulmer.
I've been known to struggle with reality. Not that it is any real mystery. I just don't have the time for the stupidity.
Broadcasting from London, Ontario, Canada. Welcome. This is Journeys with the No Schedule Man. My name is Kevin Bulmer. We are here to celebrate and share the stories, the journeys of heart-centered entrepreneurs, people who have challenged themselves to listen to and follow their inspiration and challenge themselves so that they can expand and grow. And together we explore those triumphs, challenges, thoughts, feelings, lessons learned. And today I've got the king of uplifting others with me. Some days you wake up and you just know it's going to be a great day. And whenever the name Cornell Thomas is in your day timer for whatever reason, that's a day worth rocketing out of bed for. There are a lot of people right now in the midst of this unprecedentedly, is that a word? Did I just make up some new English? It probably is. Anyway, these challenging times with COVID-19, and we're all locked down, and nothing that we thought we knew is the way that we thought it was or would be. And a lot of people are having a hard time with that. Cornell and I are no different. We have more good times than not, but everybody's riding a little bit of an emotional roller coaster right now. And I think it's more important forever for those who have sort of locked into their true selves and have that signal kind of tuned in a little bit more clearly, that they are a little bit more able to let go of the distractions, all the noise that's constantly coming at us about what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, what we should be, shouldn't be, what we should do, shouldn't do, what we should have, just all that nonsense, and to put it away and to really be more tuned in on what matters most, who we really are, and how much we can mean to each other. And to that end, Cornell has gathered some people from around the world who are absolute lighthouses and is going to do something called the Global Positivity Summit. And I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk with Cornell about his own experiences going through this, what some of the feedback is that he's had from others that have gone into this summit, and just in general in his community. We've got Canada and the United States coming together here. We got white and black coming together here. Lots going on in this conversation, and I'm really excited to introduce you to Cornell in just a couple moments. Perhaps I should say reintroduce you to Cornell, because if you have not already, I would highly encourage you to go all the way back in time to episode 41, which remains one of my favorite episodes of this podcast, when Cornell joined me to share his story about who he is and his journey, and why he's such a mama's boy like me, and what on earth would possess him to take his mother's Weight Watchers cookies and sell them door to door. One of the best stories that's ever been told on this podcast. And I encourage you to go back and listen to that. We might touch on little bits of Cornell's story of how he became the lion that he is in today's conversation. But if we do, we'll just touch on it because it's just sitting there waiting for you on demand and absolutely free on episode 41. Today, we're going to talk about positivity, going global, with the guy that you see on the screen right now. Or if you're just listening to the audio and you can't see any video, just imagine like the coolest looking individual that you could ever see, who is like an angel in a human's body, and you've got the idea. Just a reminder, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. If you like to run around like me while you're taking out the garbage, while you're going for a jog, while you're driving the car, while you're making dinner, and you like to put some good information into your ears, you can do that with Journeys with the No Schedule Man. It takes probably less than 1 second to click subscribe. Go ahead and do that, please. You can also find the video of these podcasts on both YouTube and on Facebook. The handle on either of those channels is @NoScheduleMan. Please take a moment to subscribe. I always get irritated with those people that are like, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe and click the little bell. Because I'm like, do you really have to order people to do that? Can't they make up their minds? Apparently you do. So smash the like button and subscribe and stay connected. If you can remember the name No Schedule Man and you have access to the internet, I am frighteningly easy to find. I'm most active right now on TikTok, of all places. Go figure. Interesting spot. But Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at No Schedule Man, and on the website you can sign up for our email as well. Before we bring Cornell on here and talk about positivity going global, I want to say thank you to Diamond and Gold Treasures, Mo Mondays London, Mulligan Realty Group, Provincial Glass and Mirror, Trickett Financial, and the Turtle Tribe coaching community, all for supporting this podcast and making it possible for us to bring conversations like this to you. So as I had mentioned, some days you just wake up and you just know it's going to be a good day. And it's amazing, I think, what we can do for each other as human beings. I feel like we're more powerful than we think we are. And we, and I'm generalizing irresponsibly, sometimes make the mistake of thinking that we have to look up to celebrities, people with status, people who have achieved some level of business or financial success or a certain level of fame. Not that some people that have achieved that don't have valuable things that they can share with us, but I don't feel that that should preclude us from looking at the people who are right beside us right now. Our neighbors in our communities, our neighbors in neighboring countries, and here on the globe. And I think that, or around the globe, that it's true what they say about how when you really follow your passion, you start to just let all that external noise fall away and begin to tune into what you were really meant for, to listen to your heart maybe more than your head. It's absolutely amazing the people that will come across your path and will encourage you and will look to lift you up. And they're people who are right here in our communities. Maybe they're at the grocery store. Maybe they're in a podcast that you're going to see or something like that. But this next guy, he said something the first time we got together and had a conversation that has stuck in my mind and my heart ever since, where he says, Kevin, people like us are finding each other. We are finding each other. And the place to look is right where you are right now, and you will be amazed at what is available to you. People like this guy, let me get this right here. Cornell Thomas, my brother from another mother. First of all, and most importantly, aside from thank you and I love you, how are you and your family and your extended family doing right now?
Yeah, well, love you right back, brother. I appreciate you, KB. And we're doing well, man. It's just, pivoting as a family, me and my wife and my two kids. They're young. They're 6 and 4. So the work that they have, we have all become homeschool teachers, right? So we've all become educators. And the work that they have isn't a tremendous amount as compared to other grades, but it's still sitting down with them and walking through their homework. So me and my wife are pretty much like tag team wrestlers. One is doing work and the other tags. And then I come in like Hulk Hogan, like, what are you going to do? And then I go and I start working with the kids. But I think the best thing about this for us is the amount of time that we have with them. Yeah. I think because we've been in this thing for so long, we forget that our schedules were where we have them for 4 hours a day and the school has them for the rest of the day. Now we have them 24/7. So just that connection with the kids, that's one of the things that I'm truly going to miss the most, is not having with me all the time. Yeah. And does that sometimes hinder work? Sometimes you want to get a podcast done or get on a phone call and then your kids. Yeah, but man, it's so cool just to wake up. Like today I woke up, Bryce was up he's 6. Bryce was up at like 5:45, right? And he's like, hey, Dad, what's up? I love you. I miss you. I'm like, hey, B, what's up, man? And then Naya's next, right? So it's like, I'm going to miss those things, not shuffle them off to the bus and have them go, just them hanging out with us.
Yeah, and it goes by in such a flash, right? All those cliches that our parents and other people always told us about, we're like, yeah, right, whatever. It's it's really something when you're in the middle of it and you see it going by so fast. It's true, isn't it?
It's so true. And the people around me, I'm just blessed, man, because I have people in my circle like yourself who, like you said in the beginning, it doesn't matter what we're going through. We still have enough energy to uplift other people, right? It doesn't mean there's nothing on our shoulders. It just means that I believe God made our shoulders broad enough where we can take our load and help other people as well. So when I turn on my social media, it's like the people that I really connect with that are just throwing that light. You call them lighthouses before, that are just kind of spreading that light. And it's what we don't realize is what we do this all the time. Just because you're spreading light doesn't mean there's no darkness.
Yeah.
It just means you're making a conscious choice to choose light right? And not darkness. You know, people think that when people are talking about things that we talk about, it's all rainbows and butterflies and like, it's okay. You can, no, it's not that at all. It's like we go through stuff, but every day you have a choice. Do you want to be negative today or positive today? Every moment you have a choice. Do you want to be negative on this moment or positive this moment? You know, and so we just choose positive.
I feel like we're all being given the opportunity to really discover what matters. You know, there's so much noise. A friend of mine reached out to me yesterday, just checking in how he was doing, and he wanted to let me know and ask my thoughts and ask how I was doing. And he said something that I'll paraphrase that I thought was a really good observation, where he said, I feel like I would be able to deal with this better right now if I still had the daily distractions to keep me from facing the things that are really feeling uncomfortable right now head on. But right now, a lot of that noise, those distractions, and I don't say this in a critical way at all, but like when that all falls away, all of those things that we maybe think give us some sense of meaning or purpose, or that we have our identities attached to, and all of a sudden that's not there, and you don't have any reasonable expectation of when that might be able to return, then you're staring yourself in the mirror pretty directly, aren't you? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's comfortable, but I think it's probably necessary, whether there's a pandemic or not. How do you feel about something like that?
Yeah, well, that's the hardest thing for most people, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no more hiding.
Yeah.
You know, the hamster wheel, when people say that, use the term hamster wheel, never in the history of hamsters do you see a hamster come off the wheel and say, you know, I'm just gonna grab a drink, I'm gonna get right back on, like I'm good. Like, no, they're like running for their lives. Like, it's inhumane, really, if you think about it. You know, the hamster didn't sign up for it. It's like, oh, the hamster likes it. No, the hamster doesn't. Imagine being attached to a treadmill and you can't stop it, right? Like, the only way you stop is if you get caught up in it or you jump off. You ain't gonna like that shit. They're gonna be like, get me off of this, right? So I think people are no longer connected to that life hamster wheel where they're running 1,000,000 miles per hour. So you're stuck with your thoughts. And we say this all the time, like, this can be a very scary place if you don't address things. If you have some things that have not been addressed, that are still there and have only built and have only gotten bigger, that negative voice has only gotten louder. Now you don't have the distraction of yelling at that person to the commute to your job, worrying about your boss and talking crap about your work situation, then coming back home. No, now it's just you and you. And that's why it's so scary for some people, because they've never had the time to look themselves in the mirror and say, not only who am I, right? Who am I, but also, what am I doing on this planet? Like, what am I doing here? Like, what is I have had so many people reach out to me and said, man, like you just said, I'm starting to realize what's important in life. And it's scary that I've wasted so much time trying to discover that thing.
Yeah, and I think that who am I is a much bigger question than we think it is, and it's one that it never even occurred to me to ask until, as you know, my whole life, or what I thought was my life, collapsed around me, and I struggled with the idea, Cornell, of that people liked me just because I was me. I couldn't understand that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I used to be a husband, I used to be a homeowner, I used to be the manager of this business, I used to record songs and like all these things, love me, want me, and now that's all gone, and you still like me? What for?
Yeah.
And it was only then that I started to ask, well, who am I? And that, that is the thing, without getting too existential on people. No matter where you are or what you think you are or how circumstances change, you're always going to be who you are.
Yeah.
But one of the guys I've been finding great comfort in this time is Sadhguru. And I heard him say the other day, if you're alone and you feel lonely, then you're not in very good company, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't enjoy the company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like that's
big time.
I don't mean to sound in any way judgmental or as if I've lost any level of my compassion. I think where I'm struggling most now is that because you and I are both compassionate and we want to uplift is, but I'm wondering what it's like where you are in New Jersey. Because here in Ontario, Canada, I feel like a lot of people have just, I don't want to say given up, but are at least on hold. They've just completely withdrawn. and pulled back. And I wonder if they aren't experiencing some measure of what Sadhguru said, that they're looking in the mirror and aren't sure how they feel about the company that they're keeping. But I feel like a lot of people have just pulled back, and I'm struggling with how to feel about that. What about you?
Yeah, I think there's some of that for sure. But for where I live at, there's anger, there's frustration, right? There's all these other emotions that are coming out. I mean, people are getting volatile. You know, you can't trap. Humans weren't meant to be trapped in a home, right? Where once you experience freedom, once you go outside your house, once you travel, once you even walking down the street, when you take those liberties away, people are going to react a certain way. And I know in New Jersey, the laws were it was so stringent. You know, our governor small businesses are pretty much imploding all over the place, right? There's restaurants that have been closed. People are like, I just want to sit in a restaurant and eat food. You know, like I just want to be able to do that again. So it's anger, it's frustration, not being able to like hug people that you care about. I mean, I went 40 days without hugging my mom. You know how I feel about my mom. So it's like on the 41st day, I'm like, screw this. I was like, are you kidding? I'm not going to go another day without hugging my mom. I'm not going to go another day without my kids not hugging their grandma. Like, this is not going to happen. Right. And it's like my mom said to me the other day, and I'll talk about it now to get me like choked up a little bit. She goes, I was so lonely. You know, like I felt that feels so good. It's like, and my two brothers live with her. But like you said, it's like not having that touch, not having that interaction. It's so tough, like seeing her grandbaby, seeing her baby boy, you know, my wife, her daughter-in-law, and not being able to touch us. So now that when we go over, we hug and, you know, just smart. You just, you know, wash our hands and all that stuff and not cough on top of each other. She's like, oh, I felt so lonely. I felt so good. And just seeing her face and like the hug I was able to get, you know, I'm like, man, I was like, this is what we're missing. We're missing this interaction as human beings, that touch. And that hopefully out of all this stuff, empathy and gratitude and self-awareness comes out of this.
I remember feeling that way about 4 weeks into this mess when the sun finally came out, and I went and went through a drive-through and got a coffee. And you know, when you're talking into the little squawk box there, where you're like, "Good evening, Wendy. There will be 5 of us dining in the car this evening. So we're going to need 4 biggie fries." Sorry, Crocodile Dundee in LA flashback. Focus. That happens when Cornell's around sometimes. Pop culture. So I was talking in the squawk box, and whatever that I ordered, she didn't catch part of it, but then she did when she repeated it back to me, and I can't remember what I said, but it made her laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came up to the window, she's handing me the coffee, and she's laughing, and she has a tear coming out of her eye, and she's like, "Thanks for the laugh." Wow. And I'm seeing this other human being that I hadn't, because I've been seeing, you know, just this one man in the mirror for weeks on end. And I actually started to get emotional driving away. I'm like, what's happening to me? I'm watching like Hallmark commercials here, just trying to get a coffee. But I just, just that interaction with other people. And it can be something as simple and frankly as stupid as that lifts somebody else up, right?
Well, that's, I mean, you're saying that story and I'm getting goosebumps. And I was in the bank the other day and I was talking to these ladies, and my wife makes fun of me all the time because I'll do like go into the bank, like a simple transaction, and I'll end up being there for like 25 minutes having conversations. So I'm talking to the branch. It was a new bank. And I talked to the branch manager and I'm talking to someone else. It's like 35 minutes. And we're just talking the whole entire time. And I'm like, you know, this is so missed. And they're like, we're so glad you came in, right? We're so glad you came in. And it's like, you know, the lady's like, even like with the mask, right? And I was saying this before on a podcast I was doing, with the mask, is like not to see people smiling, right? Like it's one thing to see the eyes. Yeah, great, cool. But it's another thing to see the whole face and see people's reaction to the things that you're saying, the reaction to the hug, the fact that you're able to see this woman, you know, tear up, the fact that she, you know, told you, hey, you know, thank you for making me laugh. That little thing, that little joke, right? Of just making her laugh a little bit, it brings normalcy to like an abnormal time in our period, you know, as human beings. So it's beautiful.
I'm hoping that it's going to bring us closer together, but I also, and we're going to get here into the positivity summit. But I think it's also important to kind of set the stage and give a, whatever realistic means, but as realistic an idea as we can of the landscape that we're in right now. So I started this thought by saying, I'd like to think that this is going to bring us closer together. And I think that for a lot of us, that's what's happening. But I'm also interested in your take, because I know that you'll shoot me straight. You're in New Jersey, right there in the Eastern Seaboard in the United States. And we up here in the land of igloos and maple syrup are looking at the United States and going, what the hell is going on? Like, we love you guys, but your country looks like a frigging dumpster fire right now. And I don't know if that's fair, because you only get, you know, the stuff that skims the surface, and what you see on social media, you've got to be really, really, really careful with, I believe. But what I feel like I'm sensing, and I'll only just speak for me, Kevin Bulmer, is that restlessness that you talked about put in this bubbling, boiling cauldron of division that quite frankly frightens me, Cornell. Like, it saddens me, and it frightens me. And I don't want to turn it into a political discussion, but I'm wondering whether that tension is just something that I'm observing and making up in my mind, or if it's a very real thing that you're seeing in your community and in your country.
Yeah. More our country, because again, like, each state is sometimes like a different country, you know, like how it is in the North is so different than how it is in the South. Right. Same thing. How it is in the East Coast is so different than how it is in the West Coast of the Midwest. But I would say for me that, you know, there's division has always been there. The division has been there since the beginning of time, you know, since the beginning of, you know, having a country. We have been fooled into thinking that our pigmentation or who we pray to is more important than the person in front of us, right? Like Martin Luther King says, the content of our character, you know, and we judge what we see. We do the eye test or we do the ear test. Someone said this thing about Cornell Thomas or Kevin Bulmer or whatever, and so they must be this, right? Instead of coming together. So I think it's always been there. The problem is that you have division that's been there, and you throw it on there with desperation and restlessness, and a lot this time hopelessness. So now people are like, you know, that's a Molotov cocktail for just a dumpster fire, like you were saying. So I think it's really by region. I always tell my wife, and, you know, I don't think I've ever told you this, but I always tell my wife, I was like, you know, when things start to really go and take off the way I want it to take off, you know, I'm definitely going to get a home part of the year in Canada. And the reason I say that is because whenever you know, whenever I go to Toronto, I know Canada's humongous, but whenever I go to Toronto or whatever, I love the diversity of it. And I love the fact that I just feel like it's pretty open, you know, as compared to maybe some places that you may go here. I think there are plenty of parts in America that are open, that are receptive to new ideas and new things. But what social media likes to push out is the things that are going to get clickbaits. Whatever you're going to click on, you're going to click on the hatred and the division and the car wreck and the train wreck or whatever wreck it is. So they put that out there first. So those are the first things that you see. I think it's a human problem more than a political problem. I think we've been lied to for so long about, you know, what this color is or what this religion is, instead of coming together and having real conversations, that we've actually believed it for the last hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So I think it's a human issue more than a political issue. I think that we have to just realize that it's each other that affects our life experiences. Nobody in that White House in America, since I've been alive, and since my mom and her mom has been alive, has done anything directly to affect us at all, right? They can put laws or whatever. It's not about us. The people that affect me, the people that I remember, the people that you'll remember are the people that you see on a day-to-day basis that you interact with. So you may affect my taxes or whatever, but you're not going to affect my life experience, because that's going to be up to my neighbors. And in every single good book, aka Bible, that you can read, that one of the first things they say is love thy neighbor. And it's almost like we've glossed over that that sentence and have gone to and created it into it's just about me.
Here's something that I wouldn't have been able to talk about all that long ago. Or if you had invited this conversation, I would have been like, well, just tuning into what's real and who you really are. And not looking for, like, I often hear myself say that where life started to change for me was when I realized that every single time I ever had a problem, I was there. You know, I was the only common denominator. And it's real easy to point fingers or to blame or to look for someone else to solve your problems or give you me or any of that kind of stuff. I remember when I first watched the movie The Secret, and I've told this story publicly where I was actually embarrassed. I'm like, really, Kevin, it's come to this? Because, I used to be one of those guys who would laugh at stuff like that. And granted, I feel that movie's kind of prepackaged, but still, Bob Proctor came on, and I'd never heard of him before. And I remember thinking, who's this funny old guy? Now I would love to be a funny old guy like that who's well into his mid-80s and still going as strong as ever because he so believes in what he's doing. But he talked about in this one idea of everything being energy, that we think that things are solid things. Like if you take your hand and you put it under a microscope, you'll see that it's just millions of cells vibrating at a high enough speed of energy. And I remember that, Cornell, that was a break me open moment, because I thought that makes sense to me. And what I'm getting at here is that trying to let some of that clutter and those ideas that I think that we acquire along the way of who we should be looking to or what we should be following, and instead really go inside to what's real and tune into that energy and open ourselves up to that with others, if everything always is energy. I'm astounded at how profound and strong and intense the love can be, and an energy that you can sense with somebody who is in a different place around the world. I think you and I are an example of that. And I'm sharing this and going to ask your thought as kind of a precursor into really digging into the potential power of something like the Positivity Summit. But I started doing this podcast, Cornell, really by accident. I was just telling myself I was tired of saying to myself why I couldn't or shouldn't. And that I've since connected with people, that we've had conversations where you can feel the connection. Like I'll talk to my own mom. I'm like, I don't know what it is with this cat, Cornell. Maybe we were like, we're around the same age.
Sure.
So it's conceivable that there were like past lives that we were actual brothers or something. I don't know. I don't know. But that whole thing about everything being energy, am I nuts, or can you relate to that sense of energetic connection that I'm trying to get at here?
If you are nuts, sign me up, because I'm on the same. I need the same straitjacket. I'm 100%. Like Kev, it's so funny, man. We're all connected, right? And so funny. Like I just had this freaking conversation. I did a Instagram live, and I talked about not only how we're all connected, but you can tell immediately, energetically, if someone is a fit for you or not. Like if you're in tune with that, like if you're in tune with it, you can tell right away. When I met you in Toronto and we sat down and had breakfast, within the first 30 seconds, I knew that it didn't matter how long we go without talking. I will always know you. You will always know me. If I ever need you, you got me. If you ever need me, I got you. Like I knew that immediately. So that's more than just coincidence. Right? It's just more than coincidence. The way you find people, if you really sit and think about the people that are in your life that affect you directly, that are not in your area, it's always, I knew this person, and somehow I wasn't going to go to this event, but I did, and then I met this person. Like that's how it works. And it makes the world such a smaller place when you realize that everybody's connected. We're all connected somehow. The people that are coming into your life, they're seasons. Some, they're good seasons. Some, they're bad. Some are monsoons, right? They're bad seasons. But those bad seasons, a lot of times, teach you about who you are, right? Teach you like, okay, well, I can have patience in this situation, or I know not to deal with that type of person anymore. So we're all connected. Like the fact that we're all energy, it also gives you hope, because once we're gone in this physical form, our energy is always here, right? Like we don't go anywhere. We're still here, like in terms of our energy. That's why, like I said the other day, I didn't start really sensing and feeling my father until I started speaking. And, it's almost like he was waiting for me to start doing what I was supposed to do on this planet, for him to start saying, okay, I'm gonna give you some signs now. I've been waiting for, 30 some years. Thank God you finally figured it out. Now I'll let you know I've always been here. So when you say that, Kev, I relate to this 150%.
Yeah, even my kids. Well, I'm thinking even back to, I can't remember how I even found you and thought that's a guy I want to talk to and put on the podcast to begin with. But even there's there's just something to the spidey senses, and I bet that you have had something similar happen with each of the people that are going to be part of the Positivity Summit. But we connected for that podcast, episode 41 that I mentioned earlier, and I remember just thinking, holy cow, like I feel like it was a family reunion. What the heck just happened? And then when you were scouting out things for maybe an in-person Positivity Summit in Toronto that will happen someday when we're allowed to go and do it. I live about 2 hours away from there, and I think your flight was to come in at something like, I don't know, what was it? Like
in the morning, something.
Yeah, it was 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it was early, yeah.
And so I got up, I don't know, I was on the road at like 5:30 or something like that, just so that I could have about an hour with you. And then it was either later that year or the next year that you released the book Extraordinary, and you came and did a book signing in Toronto. And again, my kids, my two sons, were just like, we have to go. We have to go. And I was like, okay. So we piled in the car as soon as they're done school. This was a Wednesday night, and drove all the way up into downtown Toronto, got out, literally got there just as it was starting. And I'll never forget watching my two sons. And this is what baffles me, Cornell, about those of us who are still our brothers and sisters here in humanity, but that look at somebody with the color of their skin or their gender or lack of gender or whatever it is. Like, you're looking at the case that somebody is using for, if you're lucky, 70 to 100 trips around the sun. Mm-hmm. I can't process that kind of division when I look at how my two kids look at you like they were meeting Superman. Like it was. Do you remember doing the handshake thing with my son Jaden?
Yeah, me and Jaden.
Like he was just, and both of them when you were on stage, like they were sitting there beside me, just vibrating. Yeah. And part of me wanted to say, like your dad speaks too. I wouldn't really added all that much, but they were, it didn't have to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Or Dwayne Wade or Jaden likes hockey, Austin Matthews. It was this guy that they know means so much to their dad that they could sense it too. Mm-hmm. And man, as Rocky Balboa would say, that's how living is done. Like, I think, and you have connections like that literally everywhere you go around the world, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it was special. Me and your boys, and I'll never forget me and Jaden's secret handshake and like just meeting the kids. And then Jaden following me on Instagram, me following him back and seeing his hockey stuff. And it's like you said, man, it's so ridiculous when you think about the fact that this case is what separates people. It's so dumb. Like it's literally the dumbest thing in the world. Like we're all just bones in a bag of flesh. And it's so dumb we use this because the powers that be have used this to divide us. And so meeting your boys and like meeting you and just everybody that you'll see at the Positivity Summit, I believe there is no one that I know directly. I know every single person on that list, including yourself, indirectly through someone or some instance that connected me with them. There's no one I know that I was like, oh, I knew this person before, and that's why I invited them. Not one. I've met everybody through someone.
Wow.
And there's 22. There's 22 people, and there's not one of them. Actually, one of the presenters, Emily Trigg, she's a Canadian. She's in Alberta. She's performing. She's a artist. She's an unbelievable singer, musician, etc. We went to college together. That is the only person that I know in the whole entire list. The other performer, another Canadian, Mia Proud, who's actually in Chile right now. When I was writing my first book, I was looking for music to write to. And I don't know how. I somehow typed in artist, whatever, new artist, looking for something. And I go to this website, Reverb Nation. And I click on one of her songs. And I hear this song. It's called Fantasy. I hear the song. I'm like, and they truly have 4 songs on there. I listened to all 4 songs the whole entire time I wrote the first book. So she became my muse. All I would do is listen to the first songs on loop. So I reached out to her after the book was over, and I said, I just want to let you know, like, you were my muse for the book. I listened to your music, and me and her became friends. That's 2013. We've been in touch since 2013, right? So it's like this is just how it works.
That is so neat. And you started to touch on those who are going to be part of this thing. So let's get into it. I should maybe give some background for people who are still here with us half hour later to let people know about, what it is that you do. I don't do that deliberately because I'm just not into titles and all that sort of stuff, because I feel like it's the same as this, as you say, bag of bones that we just borrow from the earth and that we're going to have to give back at some point, hopefully later rather than sooner. But, we can call ourselves whatever we want. So, but speaker, multi-time author, coach, pro-level basketball player, humanitarian, awesome human being, creator of the Positivity Summit. And since we did that first podcast conversation back in episode 41, you have done several Positivity Summits. I don't think you had done the first one yet when we had that conversation. Oh, I left out Population Unplugged, by the way. One of the best podcasts you'll ever hear. And it's free.
Outside of this one.
Yeah, well, no, it's a totally different thing. It's Cornell telling his stories, and so go there and smash the like button and subscribe.
Hammer fist that.
Yeah, and make sure to click the little bell so that you get every notification. Or you could just recognize something that is quality and make a decision for yourself. And sorry. Let me back it up. Always go off the leash at least once when I'm talking to you, Cornell. Yeah. Smash the like button and subscribe. Population Unplugged. Okay. Let's talk about the first Positivity Summit. What was it? What went into it? How did it come to be? Here's 15 questions in one. What happened? Tell me the whole story from inspiration to activation.
Yeah. So in 2000, again, indirect, connection. 2013, when I first started, actually 2012, when I first started writing quotes before the books came, I sent a quote. I sent a quote to Tony Robbins every single day, and Oprah, anybody that had a big following. So I'm like, if somebody retweets that, then millions of people will see it instead of just me, my mom, and like my aunt that followed me. And so I did that, and then after like a couple of weeks, I was doing a basketball clinic, and my phone just starts blowing up, like buzzing, and Tony retweeted one of my quotes. So from then, every like couple months, Tony will retweet one of my quotes. Then a bunch of people will start following me, because if he says "took a poop," people are like, "Oh my gosh, he took a poop," and so that's how it kind of went down. And there's a lady that followed me named Evan, and I saw her retweeting a lot of my quotes, so I messaged her and I said, "Hey, not to sound like a creep, but can you send me your mailing address?" And she sent me her mailing address. I sent her a book, her and her husband a book, and a week later, she does this big post. I didn't tell her I was going to send the book. I just sent it. Thank you, author Cornell Thomas. Me and my husband were going through a storm, and this helped out a lot. So flash forward 2 years after that, me and her stayed in contact. We became really good friends. And she asked me if her and her husband paid for me to go to Tony Robbins' event when I go. And I was like, it's too much money. There's no way. And she's like, as easy as it was for you to send us that book, that's how easy it is for us to send you there. So she paid, over $9,000 something for the ticket, over $4,000 something for the hotel. Wow. And I'm sitting there at this event, and I tweeted out like, looking forward to going to this Tony Robbins event. He messaged me, as I retweet a lot of your quotes. I'm looking forward to meeting you. So unbeknownst to him, he didn't know the reason I want to go to this event is because someone told me that he's the best speaker in the world, and I'm very competitive. So I was thinking to myself, if this cat is better than me, I'm gonna go see it myself. Like, I don't care about all the other stuff that happens, but like, I want to see like how good this dude's, because this person's never seen me speak before. She's already saying that he's better than I am. So I go to this event, and I thought the event was really cool. A lot of energy, a lot of jumping around, stuff like that. I thought it was cool. But the one thing that I noticed is that type of event with that type of cost is only speaking to less than 1% of the population. Mm. So I said to myself, this is not a correct view of what the world looks like, right? Like, the world doesn't look like this. Like, if you don't have $5,000 to throw away for 5 days, 6 days, then you can't come to this. So we were supposed to do some type of exercise with a partner, and I wrote down Positivity Summit on my notes, And I started writing down what I wanted to look like. The first thing I said is I want it to be affordable. I want everybody to be able to come to a Black, white, Muslim, everybody to be able to afford it. The second thing I wrote down is I don't want it to be just me speaking, because I only know what I know. And my knowledge is like there's this much knowledge I know compared to the world knowledge. So I want people to come on and not sell from stage, not sell their coaching programs. I want people to come on and just share their stories, because I think that every story is going to have this message of overcoming adversity, gratitude, empathy, togetherness, all this. And so then I wrote it up for 2 hours. My partner was just sitting there looking at me like, what are you doing? So I just pitched the idea to her and told her, this is what I'm going to do. This is my purpose project. And the first one was in Alamuchi, New Jersey in March. It was March 10th and 11th. And in New Jersey, you can blink your eyes and it could be 90 degrees, then you can blink again and it could snow. So I had no idea that it was going to be a snowstorm. Neither did the meteorologist. And there was a snowstorm. So I had, 8 to 10 speakers. We had about 35 to 40 people show up, which I thought was like, I was like, I can't believe we have 35. I was like, now granted, I was in the red like $5,000, but I didn't care. I just wanted to run this event. And then I wanted to be different because I wanted to do a day of speakers and self-development, and then a day of some type of like outreach where we can give back or something. But the key I saw in that first event was the interaction that people had with each other. That was the key. So I said, if I can bottle this up, this interaction, people connecting from all different backgrounds and ethnicities, that's what I need to put on every positivity summit. So I did that one. I did one in New York, one in LA, one in London. The one in London, again, this is right before the whole, a couple months before the whole COVID thing happened. And everything I've done, I have no sponsors. It's been out of pocket. So I've had, sponsors like, here's $1,000, here's $2,000, and my bills are like $40,000, or $30,000 or whatever it is. So just, I taking duct tape and just patching up the holes and trying to get things through and taking out loans and, hey, I'll pay you back when I can and all that. But I did this because I know that at some point this is all going to take off, because everybody that's come to an event has said, Cornell, there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this where people's agenda is to make other people think differently, make other people feel differently, and be there for one another. I mean, we did an event in London and we didn't have a ton of people. We had maybe 65 people throughout the course of the weekend. And I did this group where I had everybody group up, or like groups of 10, and everybody got 2 minutes with no interruption to share their story. Now, one was because I wanted the people around, because we're not great listeners, to listen and not interrupt, even though that kind of got interrupted a couple of times. They had to catch themselves. And two, I wanted the person to share whatever they want to share. Like, you go to networking events and the person's like, my name's Bob from Bob's Windows and Things. And this is what, like, describing like what he does, not who he is. Now, I'm not going to go to Bob's Windows if I don't know who the hell you are. Yeah. So people started breaking down and just crying. People that I knew that were not criers, were crying, because it was like there's no judgment zone. And that's what I loved about me and you're talking off camera before about the Mo Mondays, is that you're saying how you would be emotional on stage because you're hearing these people's stories, and just to give people a place where they can share, right, and not be judged and be heard. That's the power of a good event. And eventually, what's going to happen? I never want more than 500 people. And I told my one friend, he does events, he's like, how are you going to make money? I said, well, think about this. If I have 1,000, 2,000 people, there'll be people that Kevin Bulmer will never meet. And what a disservice to those people if they didn't get a chance to meet KB, right? If I have 500 people, I can spin it where everybody meets. I can make that schedule so we switch around and everybody interacts. And that's the key to the event. And that's the key to the Positivity Summit, is that interaction and hearing speakers that don't have an agenda outside of giving you information.
As you were telling that story, I was thinking, man, this sounds like Mo Monday's like jacked on human growth hormone here. Because what we do is, as you've experienced in a little bit of a virtual environment, but I can't wait till the time comes where I can get you in that room, Cornell. It's like a grenade with the pin pull. The place it vibrates, the place. And because it's what you described there. And I get emotional for a number of reasons, seeing people with those layers fall away, and to realize, oh, I am I have value. I'm appreciated just for being me. I don't need to be a label. I don't need to put on a mask. And I don't think we're at the point sort of in general yet as a species where we have evolved to being used to that and okay with that, to allow that in. So you get to experience all the energy of that. But you were also saying about how grateful you were at the people that showed up at these initial events. I was experiencing a lot of that too, where I would reach out to people like I did for you for the online Mo Mondays, and they would come. And I would be introducing them, and I would get overwhelmed emotionally because I think, man, like, I asked them to come to share, to help me build this, to try to uplift others, and they're here. And I realized I had to work through a lot of stuff where I didn't yet feel like I was even worthy or deserving of that. Mm. And I think that if I were to say that out loud, some people would maybe, and I'm scripting and assuming here, but maybe be surprised to hear that and go, but you're the ringleader. You're the leader. You're the guy that gets up and talks first. Yeah, but that's my whole point, is that you're human. You've got that in you. Otherwise you wouldn't be human. Yeah. And you're always, if you're growing, you're always at the edge or a little bit beyond of discomfort, because otherwise you wouldn't be growing, which means that you're constantly pushing against that next level of doubting yourself, or of worthy, or can I figure this out, or should I even be trying? And to toss it back to you, I think, isn't that part of what makes it so energizing to be around other people? Because there's going to be somebody there that you can help, that you may be a little bit further down the road on, that they're trying to walk, and then you can lift them up. And there's going to be somebody that's a few rungs higher on the ladder that you're climbing, and they can give you a pull. But you're all in it together. There's no more than or less than. It's that we're all here. And that like, back to Rocky Balboa, that's how living is done. Like, it's a magical thing to be a part of, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the beauty of the equal sign, right? Same shape, same size, same length, right? That's the beauty of the equal sign. And that's the thing. It's like, when you start to see that, start saying like, oh man, we are all equal. What does equal mean? Equal means that there's no judgment. If Kevin Bulmer messes up, it's not my place as a human being and not omniscient God, guru, whatever, to say, well, I can't believe Kevin did that. No, it's like, Kevin's a human being. We're going to mess up all the time. I screw up every day, right? So I think the way we go about things, Kevin, is we lead with our heart, right? That's the first thing. Yeah. And then we're also not afraid to open it and share it with people. And when you lead with your heart, that's one thing. But when you're not afraid to share it with other people, that's a whole different level. And that's why people, follow what you do. And it's like the Pied Piper. That's why they're going to follow what you do. With the Positivity Summit, my wife does all my IT stuff. Melissa does everything. And she was like, well, what do you want to put in the paragraph? And I wrote 5 different paragraphs, because I'm like, it's very hard. Same thing with Mo Mondays. It's like, it's almost does it a disservice to put a description there. Yep. Like, you're going to come away with more confidence and more. That's crap. I don't know what you're going to come away with.
Oh, thank you.
Like, yes. Like, there's a guy that I can't wait to introduce you to. He's actually speaking on it. His name is Mike McConty. And his movement is called Humans First, right? You guys would hit it off. Literally, I'm going to connect you guys after this. You guys will hit it off in a second. And it's the same way. I don't know what you're going to get out of the Positivity Summit. The only thing I can tell you is that you're kind of going to come into a space with open-minded, positive thinking people that are going to allow you to be who you are. I don't know what happens after that. You might have something in a life-changing experience where you meet someone, you might break down to tears, be like, well, I don't want this. This is too much. I don't know, right? But to put that in the description is like a slap in the face to me. And a slap in the face to KB and all the other people that run heart-centered events.
Oh, I so feel you there. Oh my gosh, what you're talking about is assertion instead of attraction. You're just Mo Mondays was about the first time that I ever got to that place, Cornell, where I would have people, and in the coaching and the speaking world, you see it all the time. What's your topic and what problem do you solve and what's your niche and blah, 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 okay. But having another moment there.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get that from people, well-meaning, who I love and they love me, and I appreciate all that, but would be like, I feel unclear on exactly what this is and who this is for and what you're targeting. I'm like, well, then you don't get it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
If you're in the room and you feel it, and you won't need me to explain it to me, you get it.
Yep.
But if you don't, there's no way that I can explain it to you. You don't get it. And that's okay, because there's tons of other stuff that you'll get that somebody can explain to you and help you decide before you ever go into it what your thing. I don't know what my key takeaway is in my speech. It's not up to me. Once it comes out of my mouth and into the ether, it doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to you.
Yep.
I can tell you what I intend, what I learned, but you're going to filter that through your own perspective and your own experiences. And I just... And maybe I'm off my nut, but when I finally got to the point where I stopped caring about that stuff, and I fall into it because I was bred in the traditional media, marketing, sales, benefits, solutions, and all this kind of stuff. And you can get to a result that way, but getting to a result is not the same, in my opinion, as states like fulfillment, contentment, joy, connection, purpose. And those are the kinds of things I think that you can really access with the sorts of people, being around the sorts of people like with the Positivity Summit. So I can't keep dancing around this forever, because I know you got more. And I'm not dancing around it because I just want to talk to you. When you've got Cornell, you just want to keep going. But so here's an opportunity for people to tap into what we're talking about.
Sure.
Is with this Positivity Summit coming up at the end of May. You're in 2020. Over to you. What is it? And how can people get involved, and why might they want to?
Yeah. Well, next Thursday it starts. Thursday, Friday, 28th, 29th is 9 to 12. And then on Saturday, it's 9 to 1:30. I have speakers literally almost from every continent. I have speakers from Africa, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Canada, England, Switzerland, all over the place. And they're just friends of mine that have just unique perspectives on the world. It's not something where I'm going to milk the COVID thing and say, this is going to help you never think about COVID-19 again. That's not who I am. Only thing I can tell you and assure you is that when you hear these people speak, KB, obviously one of being one of the biggest ones, is when you hear these people speak, it is going to change your perspective on things. And if it changes your perspective for that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or for the rest of your life, that's going to be on you. But I have amazing speakers. We have musicians that are going to come in and share with us, which is great. And it's just a positive environment. You know, we're taking partial of the proceeds to help a family from my hometown of Passaic, New Jersey. A firefighter there, he lost his life due to the virus, and we're going to help, take part of the proceeds and put it towards the family. No cameras, none of that, nothing against that, but that's just not who I am. I'm just going to walk up to the house and say, here's a check. If it's $500, $100, $200, $1,000, whatever it is, just give and see if I can help them for a couple of days. So that's our mission. It's on Cornell Thomas.com, and you can register whenever, and we're just asking everybody to spread the word. I talked to Kevin about it, and Kevin was like, okay, when can we get you on the podcast? So it's like I have people in my life that know what it's about. I think once you come on and see all these amazing human beings, it's just going to set up the one that we do globally, where we can interact and hug one another. And obviously, I have my man KB at that one again, and we'll just blow the whole thing out the water.
Is there going to be any kind of? I hope I'm not painting you into a corner here. Is there going to be any kind of recording available of it after the fact?
Yeah. So we're gonna record everything, and then I'm gonna post it. We'll do the link. My IT person, aka my wife, is going to make it available.
The IT department.
Let me talk to the ID department.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and write that on a Valentine's card? So many love words.
Yeah. So we'll have the recording for it available after, probably a week or so after. We'll put out the whole recording on the website.
And so what I'm going to do is encourage people to go to your website, which I really appreciate. Here we talk about this energetic connection. I just put it up on the screen and into the comments right at the exact time that comes out of your mouth. So thank you for having me on that. And it's on there right now. And now, of course, if you're listening to the audio, what I want you to do is breathe in deeply. Now breathe out and then visualize cornell-thomas.com. And then come out of meditation and go to your favorite web browser and type it in and then go learn about this man and smash the like button. I don't even know if you have a like button on your website. You have on the upper right-hand corner, your socials are listed up there.
Yeah.
So smash those and connect with this man if you have not already, because even if somebody finds this conversation well into the future, Cornell, I think your IT department is pretty good at keeping all of the future positivity summits and other things that you're up to on that site, correct?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. I mean, we have, I think every single one we do a highlight of every single one. So I think we have every single one on the website from New Jersey, New York, LA, London. Yeah, we have every single one. So yeah, go check it out, Kev. I just appreciate you, man. I love you. This is, you know, I don't have to tell you, you're one of those friends where I don't have to say anything. You're just like, how do I help? Like, how can I help? I got you. You know, as soon as I said, Kev, could you? Yep. Like, I don't even have to finish the sentence. And I'm just blessed to have people like you, man. I love you and the boys, and I just appreciate you, man.
Oh, man, I love you too. When we did the live online Mo Mondays, which is still available on the Mo Mondays channel on Facebook, that was the beginning of April. I was still kind of struggling at that time. And I put that together with you and Katie and Tanya very selfishly because I thought that this is who I want to talk to. This is who I need to see right now. And it's an opportunity to show people here in London, Ontario, people that they would not normally necessarily be able to see by coming to our venue here in this city. But man, that lifted me, Cornell, just getting to, because it had been a period of at least a year or more that we really hadn't been in touch much. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that's kind of great about these kinds of connections is you don't need to be. I always know Big C's out there. Like, all I got to do is ring him. And it doesn't matter whether he's in London or he's in LA or he's in New York or he's in Dubai or wherever the hell he is. I know that he'll be there for me at a moment's notice. And then that's what happens. I'm like, okay, we're all a little down and out here. I'm going to try and rally some people together. I need you. And you're like, I hadn't even finished the sentence. And you're like, Goonies, Weekend at Bernie's. Sorry, you got to watch the thing to understand what we're. So go to Mo Mondays London and smash the like button with the little bell and subscribe.
Oh.
It would be. I would still love you if you uninvite me from the positivity.
No.
It might be a good idea because
I want to invite you more. I want you to speak twice now.
I haven't decided exactly what we're going to do that day. I will before I come on. I promise.
Again, Melissa was like, what are the speaker topics? I was like, I don't know. What are they talk about? I don't know if they're going to talk about Captain Crunch. I don't know what they're talking about. Come on.
That's I figure you just want it to be something positive.
Whatever. Talk about, I trust, like, the people that I have on, I trust. Go talk about whatever. Like, if I have to give you a topic, that's an issue. Like, just go talk about whatever you want to share, whatever you want. It's in your heart to share. Just share it. And I know it's going to be amazing anyway. So go ahead.
Man, I'm going to put this direct link up on the screen for everybody again here right now. Then again, if you can get to cornell-thomas.com, you can get to the Positivity Summit page because you'll see it there. But here it is if you want to, and I'll pump it into the comments of the Facebook feed here as well. See, I know you've got another interview coming up, and I would love to keep you, but I feel like it would be good to give you a chance to breathe and maybe feed yourself before you go back out into the jungle.
Yeah.
You are a special friend, and you are a gift to the rest of us bag of bones. Humans, I mean, for anybody who missed the earlier part of the conversation. Walking around here. And I think it's really neat that when we come upon a time where we're really kind of having the screws put to us emotionally, that what you said to me in that original episode that we did number 41 continues to ring true when I hear your voice, and I do all the time. People like us are finding each other. And it's neat to come back together. I'm deeply honored that you would tap me into the ring for this Positivity Summit, May 28th, 29th, and 30th. I will be there. I will have my Nacho Libre mask on. Ooh, I think I've just got an idea.
Yes, let's get it. Let's get it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I think I just hurt my vocal cords.
Yeah.
All right.
I can only do Macho Man for 5 seconds.
What I can promise you, if you come to this Positivity Summit, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Big C, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll talk to you again soon, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. That is Cornell Thomas. You can reach him at cornell-thomas.com. I encourage you to do that. This podcast episode, by the way, is going to be made available permanently, both in audio and video. And you can access that on any of the channels that you see on the screen. If you're listening to the audio, I'll describe it for you. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. I submitted to Spotify. I don't see myself on there. It looks like they're just making way for Joe Rogan. I see that he's getting there. They probably don't, or going there exclusively. They probably don't want me on there providing competition to him. Right. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook at No Schedule Man. I hope that you'll stay connected at No Schedule Man on any of these channels: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. This is episode 108, Positivity Going Global, with speaker, author, coach, Positivity Summit creator, and Population Unplugged podcast host, my good brother and buddy Cornell Thomas. You'll be able to find it at noscheduleman.com. My name is Kevin Bulmer. I appreciate you so much for joining us on behalf of Cornell Thomas. Thank you for your time. Please take care of yourself and each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.